Hello, it is at the time of recording 4:30 in the morning on April 30th, 2015, and I am still reviewing comics from yesterday, Wednesday, April 29th. I am tired. But this is the last part of the comic books, last batch of today's comics, so let's just finish this already. Um, Gotta go back to the notes. Okay. So, starting this part with Conan and Red Sonja. This is the last issue of this four-part miniseries, and it is appropriately conclusive, I guess. We start off last issue with Conan and Sonja being forced by the evil wizard Thoth Amon to duel to the death. In the last issue, it seemed as though Sonja had killed Conan, but of course, she spared him. And now, basically, the two are fighting hand in hand against Thoth Amon, who reveals that the Bloodroot is actually an alien, which is pretty cool because it means that we get. Let me go to the page. We get Conan and Red Sonja versus an alien. And long story short, or rather short story short, they win. Half this book is just them basically slashing this alien and showing it what's business. And what I don't like, they show this really cool fight scene, and they have the narration boxes over it, as you can see, and all the narration boxes are really telling us is how cool this fight's going to be. They're showing and telling, and I feel that telling kind of takes away from the showing in this case. But it's still a very, very cool comic. It's not complicated. It's not complex. It's not a lot of thinking going on this issue. But it's a nice, satisfying ending. Big fight. Conan and Red Sonja together fighting aliens. It's pretty cool. Needless to say, pretty effing cool. Short, sweet, happy ending to this miniseries. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed all four issues, and recommend picking it up, probably in trade. When it comes out in trade, which it'll probably do. Yes. So, moving on to Silver Surfer, which I really enjoyed this month. I enjoy this book every month, which is why I'm picking it up 11 issues in. But this very tired. This issue was spectacular because it plays with the medium a bit. We're basically told from the Queen of Never Queen, the Never Queen, yes, that this issue involves the Silver Surfer being stuck in time, essentially. And through this issue, we're given basically two paths. And you can read this path first, and then as you continue reading this book, you read the top half of each page, and then we switch in the middle. We found it. To reading the bottom half. We go here, and then we read the bottom half of the issue, and then over here we switch again. We go around, and then we flip the book over. We start reading the bottom, because now that's what's right side up. And through every transition, every time you flip the book, there's flip which side you're reading, and then, of course, in the middle, we go back here, and this leads us back to the beginning of the book. And every time you do this, every time you go through this loop, we see the same things happening, the same events of the book, which involve the Silver Surfer looking for a new planet for the population of New Haven to inhabit. And we see the same plot over and over, of the Surfer fighting a planet, the planet not being good, the convoy being attacked by aliens, and then the Silver Surfer bending space-time in order to warp to a new planet faster. And every time we warp, we get the transition because he's folding space-time in on itself. And every time we go through this warp, we get these same events happening, but from a different character's point of view. So we start from Silver Surfer, and then we move on to Dawn, and then we move on to the leader of the New Haven people, before cycling back all the way around. And each time, again, we get a new perspective, we get a new light on the events, before he eventually finds a way to break the cycle from repeating itself, and saves the day. And it's just a really fun book. It's a really fun book to read, not because, it's a well-told story, but because you're interacting with it more than you do a normal comic book. It feels like a game to play and see, oh, well, I'm reading it this way, what's going to happen if I flip it upside down? And you have to take a physical action, and you're interacting with the book a lot more, and you get more out of it because you feel like you're doing more than just reading. It's really fun. It's a really fun experience, and it's a really fun story just to read. It's a well-done, well-told story. That's all I have to say. If you haven't been reading Silver Surfer, I'd change that. And if you just want to hop on, this issue, it's a bit hard to follow, just because you're not introduced to what New Haven is, you're not introduced to Dawn. Like, there's a lot to catch up on, but just as a single issue, it's a really, really fun, enjoyable read, and something I haven't really seen done in comics since, I want to say, Batman #5 back in 2011 or 2012. So yeah, really, really fun, really enjoyed this one. And they used the word grok in it, and I really like grok because it comes from Stranger in a Strange Land, which is one of my favorite books. In fact, I'm rereading it. I have it right here. So yeah. I actually posted a while back on Facebook that people should start using the word grok again and more. Anyway, enough fanboying over science fiction stuff and everything, and moving on to Silk, issue 4. And again, really, really enjoyable issue. Really had fun reading this. And part of the reason, a big part of the reason, was because of the art style. I really, really love the art style in this book. I think I can't be sure if it's a different artist. It seems somewhat refined at the very least in this issue more than it has been in others. And what it looks like to me, what I realized, what finally clicked about the art style, is that it's very Disney, with the big eyes and the big, just like facial expressions, the thick lines, the kind of curved, kind of softness of it all. It's very kind of Disney animation, and I really, really enjoy it. Kind of Big Hero 6 in particular, was the art style kind of impression I got from this issue. And aside from just like the great facial expressions and great fight scenes and kind of animation quality of it all, through this book we have a very noticeable day-night cycle. So we start kind of early morning sunrise, and you can tell from the color of the sky, and then we go flipping a few pages in, and we're in midday. You can judge by the color of the sky here. And then a few more pages in, we start, this is afternoon, and then a few more pages in, and we are clearly at sunset. So you get this passage of time through this comic, and when I first noticed it like at this page at sunset, and I was like, wait a minute, it wasn't always sunset in this book. It used to be brighter. And so I flipped back, like, oh my god, they're doing a transition of time. And I don't know if that's just something I haven't noticed in comics before, or this is just a very, very well done execution of that. But getting this very tightly controlled timeline of the issue of this book through the sun rising and setting really added something for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Now, aside from the art, which I've talked about enough, I think, of how much I like it. Um, I think Silk as a character has finally really come into her own in this issue, um, evidenced first by her getting a lot better at banter in the earlier issues. And we're only in issue 3. I might have said issue 4 before. We're only in issue 3. But in the previous 2 issues, she mentioned about her banter kind of needing work, and in this one, she finally delivers like a good line of witty Spider-Man-esque banter. We get a flashback again, as we've been getting in these previous issues, to her time in captivity, but this feels more connected to the rest of the story than previous flashbacks, because it immediately leads to like a sign of character development, where she's been fighting this guy for hours now, at least, and she finally decides she's tired, she's beating this guy up, she's just going to take some mercy on him, and she sits down and talks to this guy about why he's a villain after he cries for mercy, and finds out that he has a kid at home, and this is the only job that he can find because he has prior arrest records, and it's hard for convicted people to find jobs. So finally gets still coming into her own in terms of the banter, and then in terms of, you know, who she wants to be. Does she want to be the hero that beats people up, or does she want to be the one who then gets tired and sits down and listens to them and tries to help them out instead of just beat them up? And then, as I showed before, Black Cat enters this issue, and we get a quick Black Cat and Silk fight. Tiny spoiler, Black Cat, just like on the cover of this book, Black Cat ends up wrecking Silk pretty badly. And then this issue ends with Spider-Man going to Silk. I'm going to find a way to show this without spoiling the very ending of this book, but Spider-Man going to Silk and offering to help her out with the help of a few friends, who I'm not going to reveal because it's kind of a cool reveal, and if you decide to pick up this book, which I heavily recommend you do, it's a reveal that you should find out about on your own. But yes, very, very much enjoyed this issue of Silk, from the art, from the banter, from the writing, just everything in this book really ties together really well, and it's really fun. It's just a fun read. Cindy Moon is really becoming a character that I'm enjoying, not just as a female version of Spider-Man, but as her own character, with her own, you know, life experiences, and everything shaping her actions as a hero. It's a very, very fun book. Really enjoyed reading it. Next up, we have Moon Knight, issue 14. And we're returning to the kind of one-shot format that the earlier Moon Knight issues took, kind of the more Warren Ellis. Moon Knight was all one-shots, and we had a bit of a story arc at the previous couple issues. I forget if issue 13 was a one-shot or not. I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, back to one-shots, it seems, with Moon Knight. And this one is about doggies, which I enjoy. So we start off with Moon Knight in a morgue investigating what looked like a werewolf attack or something. And so we have Moon Knight investigate, and we have kind of 3 action beats here. Or rather 2 action beats. I don't know why I can't count anymore. We have Moon Knight at a restaurant fighting dogs. And this, as someone who really likes dogs, was kind of a hard fight to watch because, I mean, yeah, you're just getting, you know, Moon Knight definitely has reasons to hit these dogs, but Moon Knight is still beating up dogs, and, like, I don't want to see dogs get hurt, man. Dogs are great. Fortunately, it doesn't end with Moon Knight beating up dogs. He ends up tracking the dogs to a warehouse, where he finds out that the dogs are being used by this loser over here as a way to beat up rich people, because, I mean, yeah, rich people, you know, problematic, whatever, but that's no excuse to send dogs after them to kill them. That's a bit of an overreaction. And I was about to think, like, reading this book, I was thinking, oh, well, this is a more lighthearted Moon Knight than I'm kind of used to in this series so far. The story's, it's about dogs, it's about Moon Knight basically getting revenge for dogs who are being mistreated. It's like, oh, that's kind of lighthearted. There's no big conspiracy thing going on. It's not a multi-level murder or anything. And then we get to the end of this book where Moon Knight kind of goes all Rorschach on this guy and lets his dogs eat him to death. And I thought, oh, this isn't lighthearted at all. The actual approach to this book, the dialogue and all that, is more lighthearted than I was used to. But then we get to this page and I'm like, whoa, you know, this all of a sudden took a very, very dark turn, very Call of the Wild. But yeah, really, really, really enjoying Moon Knight. Probably top 5 series that I'm reading right now, just in comics. Every issue so far has been really good. And I'm glad we're seeing a bunch of variety. We're also getting a lot of variety in this book. This issue, one of the more varied issues in the series so far, and just in terms of tone, as I went over, but really, really enjoyed it. Sorry, still a bit sneezy, still a bit allergies from 2 weeks ago. Obviously, nowhere near as bad as 2 weeks ago, but still an issue. And that brings us to finally the last book of the week, which is Bitch Planet, issue number 4. Again, I really, really love this book. I think I've loved every book this video, which is a great sign. It means comics are A-okay. And this book, it's just so good. It's so smart and clever, and I really, I can't say enough about how the word important feels a bit too vague, but at the same time, it clearly is very important. It's clearly connecting to its audience and giving it, including me, something to really think about and chew on, and not just think about and chew on, but make us feel better about ourselves and about our lives and what we can do and what we can accomplish. It's just such an important is probably the perfect word, such an important, smart, intelligent, great book every month. And so good. So we start off, you know, it's important, but it's also funny. It's not self-righteous. I mean, it's plenty self-righteous. It doesn't, and it takes itself very seriously, but it's still humorous. It uses satire, it makes us laugh. Everything in this book just works so well. So we start one page, just these guys being dicks at a funeral. It's this sort of thing, sort of characterization, you know, being a dick at a funeral instantly makes you a villain, instantly makes you unlikable, even though you're not threatening anybody, you're not killing anybody, but you're being a dick at a funeral. You're doing something that's just completely heinous and completely taboo. So, just in this one page, we just really hate these guys. So, really well done on that part. And then we skip back to the prison planet. I can't actually show you most of this book that I want to show you because it takes place in a shower. I guess this page is alright. So yeah, the obligatory shower scene. And this whole part, I mean, a lot of this book takes place in the showers here. We return after this part to one more part near the end. And what it does is it takes the kind of common exploitation scene, you know, that we get, girls in a shower, that's kind of an exploitative trope at this point, and turns it completely on its head in just a fantastic way, where it's still clearly, you know, I don't even know how to explain it. It plays all those tropes like completely straight. Like, you're getting a bunch of women naked in a shower together, even making out. Like, it plays it completely straight, but then flips it on its head. Even though the images are what you expect out of this sort of thing, it looks exactly the part of this kind of exploitive trope of blah blah blah, male gaze and all that. Through the dialogue and through the character interactions, you're getting something much smarter. You're getting something that deconstructs this and flips the power dynamic around, at least in this small, isolated world. Um, and it's just so well done. Um, we also, in this issue, finally get an introduction to Megaton, which is like the sport, the big contest that the girls in prison on the prison planet are using to try and escape or whatever they're being forced to do. And it's the first time in almost 2 years that I've been taking Italian in college. It's the first time in 2 years that I've used Italian outside of class, probably. Um, the sport it's not actually called Megaton, it's called Duemila, which is 2000, and it's a sport derived from an Italian sport, an old form of Italian soccer. Calcio is the Italian word for soccer. And it uses direction words, sinistra and destra, which are left and right. And yeah, so I'm finally finding a use for my Italian. So thank you, Kelly Sue DeConnick, for, you know, I'm using my Italian in comics. It's fun for me. And yeah, just everything in this book, it's so sharp. The satire in this book is so sharp, with how they explain Duemila in the beginning here, in the beginning of this kind of instructional video, where it's all about, it's a sport, and men like sports, and if you pretend to like sports, men will like you better, and that's the whole point of your life if you're a woman. It's so cutting and great, and I'm loving this book. It's just so great. And then, of course, at the end, we get kind of back to the showers and see a full turnaround on the just a full turnaround on the exploitative shower scene sort of trope. I really can't show you this page on YouTube, I don't think. But needless to say, it's really, really fucking great. And then, of course, at the end, we get the essay, the customary Bitch Planet Back Matter essay. This time it's about feminism and race and feminism, and how there is a divide between white feminism and people of color feminism, or people of color. Anyway, really, really interesting stuff, really important stuff, too. Again, this book, incredibly important right now. And of course, back cover is full of these satirical ads for things like a douche and Agrenix, which is a medicine that makes you more agreeable. Because, yeah, such a good, so fun. Really everybody should be reading Bitch Planet. You should probably still find the first 3 issues. If not, do your best to track them down because they're just as great. So smart. This book is it's so smart, so enjoyable, incredibly funny, but also poignant. It's not funny because, as Homer Simpson says, it's funny because it's true. It's funny because if you didn't laugh at it, you'd be crying at this point. Especially if, I'm a dude saying this. Like, it's probably even more so poignant, more so important, if you're a woman, if you're dealing with these things. Which is, more than enough reason, I think, to notice, at least if you're not reading it. If you hate this book, you still have to recognize that it's important, that this reaches an audience that most comics don't even attempt to court, and that's so great. So, yeah, awesome. And that's finally it for this week. We ended on a really good note, guys. So yeah, thank you for watching. Any comments, questions, anything at all, any thoughts whatsoever, I don't care if they're relevant, post them in the comments and I will try and respond to them best to my ability. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more of these every week, please subscribe, and they'll be delivered right to your YouTube stream page thing. I don't know what it's called anymore. And yeah, thank you for watching again, and I hope to see you next week.